Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Video Games and Coffee. I'm Daniel, and today is the recording for episode 4, and we're going to be doing it a little different as far as the game that I'm covering. So I got my coffee here, I got my show notes, and I wanted to cover a game that varies a bit in the style that the first 3 episodes covered, which were basically very vast open-world games. So today, let's take it back a couple of years. Let's take it back to 2019 when this game was released. And you know what? Let's take it back even further. We're going back to the 1920s. 1920s Norway, in this little town named Gravik, where you are a man named Edward, and you are traveling with this young girl named Alice, I'm guessing is your ward. And you are looking for your missing sister in this place. Now, this is a time when the majority of people cared about how they looked before they left the house. A time with shirts and ties and suits and leather shoes and dresses and hats and canes, and unlike anything you see from anyone shopping at Walmart today. Waxed mustaches, waxed beards, and, people don't look like they just roll out of their sock drawer in the morning. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting lost in the intro here. This is a very visually stunning game, a beautiful game, a short story, short narrative by design. And I really wanted to take the opportunity to show the developer and the game itself some love. So today, let's go ahead and talk about Draugen. Alrighty, well, welcome back, any returning listeners, and welcome to any new listeners. God, I hope I have returning listeners, and if I do, Jesus, please, just tell me, hey, I'm a returning listener. That'll make my day. If I have new listeners, thank you very much for giving me the chance and giving me your time today. This is Video Games and Coffee. Again, I'm Daniel. We like to chit-chat about video games, and well, what's this we shit? Let's just face it. I like to chit-chat about video games. You're just listening to me the entire time. So if that's not your thing, my sincere apologies, and you may want to tune out now. But for this episode, I've decided to do something a little bit different and kind of take a little, a different path from my first 3 episodes. If you listen to the first 3 episodes, you probably think you got me, you got me figured out. Like, I know what this guy likes. He likes this, that, and the other. And I'm here to tell you, boom, you're wrong, my friends. I am not just into the open world games. My gaming taste is all over the place. Okay, to give you an example. So you have the first 3 games that all of you obviously know about, right? Dying Light, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and Days Gone. I like pinball. I like Mario. I like Zelda. I like Forza Horizon. I love the entire Life is Strange series. Black Mirror, the old Black Mirror, old. I think Black Mirror came out during the Windows, XP era. And I forget who did that game. I would love to go over it actually one time, but it's a point and click. I'm not. God, Jesus, how long can somebody talk about a point and click game? I'm not really sure, but I guess if I ever feel up to it, we'll find out. I like Forza Horizon. So it's kind of all over the place. So I wanted to take a different approach with this one as far as the game that I chose, and I chose Draugen, which now what appealed to me about Draugen from the very beginning, I think it came up as a suggestion on Steam, because Steam suggests games like, based on what you've played, you might like this. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong, because there'll be a game that I'm really interested in, and it'll say like, this doesn't look like anything else you played, kind of deal. So when I kind of disagree, but no, what appealed to me about Draugen was actually the cover art. I love the styling. the main image, like the main logo. And I clicked on it. I looked at some screenshots. My God, the environment, the scenery was gorgeous, and it said it's a mystery game, kind of like a little thriller type of deal. So, and it was pretty cheap. It was, it wasn't too bad, and I put in my money, I put in my time, and I walked away a fan. I really loved it. It a lot of people out there disagreed. They were expecting more, but I mean, shit, sometimes I get a $15-$20 entree because I want to get a little crazy, and I try something new and I end up not liking it. I'm not going to ask for my money back. I'm not going to bitch about it on Reddit or something. So I gave it a shot, ended up loving it. I hope, I truly hope it turns into a series of games, franchise. But I mean, who knows? Who knows where it'll go? So we're going to go ahead and chit chat a little bit about it, and hopefully you're in, and hopefully I can hook you in for, episode 5. But all right, so here we go. Okay, so Draugen. That is how it is pronounced. I'm pretty sure, because before I do a recording, if I'm kind of on the fence about how to pronounce a title or somebody's name, especially, I'll look up YouTube videos, interviews, that kind of stuff. So hopefully they pronounce their own name, or somebody else pronounces it, for them, and then cool, I can make sure I'm saying it correctly. So Draugen is the name of it's a psychological kind of mystery game. You don't really know what's going on. It's a short story, as I mentioned before. I played through it in about 5 hours or so. It's a very linear narrative. So a lot of people gave it beef. They're just saying, oh, it's just a walking simulator. It's really not. I mean, honestly, the story and the gameplay itself is on rails, right? There's no way to deviate what it's supposed to be. There's no choices that you really make. There's nothing that can alter the story, the events, or the outcome. But, I mean, that's the same for most games. I think a lot of people just had a problem with it because it was short and it was very linear like that. But I actually read, I think it was a tweet where somebody, I believe it was on Twitter, where somebody made that complaint, and the developers had responded saying, well, that's what it's supposed to be. It's a short story. Done deal. So, hey, I appreciate it. Not every game has to be a 150-hour long playthrough. Sometimes you just want to play through it in a day and call it quits. So I compare it to actually Sherlock Holmes story by Arthur Conan Doyle. So if anybody out there is interested in, if they really like Sherlock Holmes, I kind of compare it to that. So it's actually made. It was released in 2019. The developer is Red Thread Games, based out of Oslo, Norway, and I hope I'm saying that correctly too, Oslo. But they are in Norway, and they are, I would say, most famous, with the very cult following of Dreamfall Chapters, which is the sequel to Dreamfall: The Longest Journey that was put out by Funcom. But the creator, whose name is Ragnar Tornquist, he, I have learned a lot about myself writing and recording these podcast episodes, and it's come to my attention that apparently I am very much into games that have people involved with them with the most metal-sounding names that you can barely pronounce. I mean, Ragnar, think about that. If somebody were to tell you that, hey, Billy is waiting to beat you up after school, or, hey, Timmy, or Arthur is waiting to kick your ass after school. I mean, that doesn't have nearly the effect of like, hey, Ragnar's waiting to beat your ass when you pass the playground on the way home. I mean, that is very tough sounding. So at least this name I can pronounce, Ragnar. But so it was the same creator, and so Draugen is not part of the Dreamfall kind of world, so that's not what they're doing here. Draugen is a completely separate game with a story and narrative all on its own, and it is based in 1920s Norway, as I had mentioned. So Edward is who you play as. You have this young female companion named Alice who just gives you shit throughout the entire... She's got a little smart mouth on her, man. But she gives you shit throughout the entire 5-hour journey you take playing this game. But you travel to a little village named Gravik, where you find that there is no one in sight when you get there. Throughout the course of the game, you discover that it was a mining town ran by these twin brothers whose feud, it seems, dissolved what looked to be a peaceful place to live, and now everyone has left. However, when you get there, you are under the impression that you were supposed to, or that you are going to meet the people you've been communicating with back and forth, and you go into their house. You don't find them there, but then you find a personal, just articles of clothing and stuff like that, just personal items that had belonged to your sister who's missing. So it really makes Edward a lot more suspicious and adds to the mystery of the game. And honestly, I would find that hard to do when it's a game this short, because you don't have a lot of time to put in all the elements of suspense and everything that you want in there to hook the player and keep them invested. So, I mean, job well done with Red Thread Games. I got through it from start to finish. I was never bored. I was always wanting more. And the details that they put in into the environment was fantastic. Now, the map is not big at all, unfortunately. I would have loved more, but again, it's meant to be a short story. There's actually an area in the town that I can't remember if it was like a road that was blocked by some chains or a fence or a lock or something or another, where I thought for sure was going to be unlocked at some point for us to venture on, and it never was. I was like, damn it, what was beyond, what was up that road? I thought it was going to be another part of the game that unlocks with progression, but it never was, unfortunately. But that's just how I felt because of how well designed and how gorgeous the whole landscape was. And to add to it is a very strong soundtrack, the score, done by Simon Poole, who is the audio director for Red Thread Games. He did the soundtrack for Draugen, as well as the Dreamfall Chapters game, as well as Dreamfall: The Longest Journey. So I talked about how much I did like the story, and that is an element of this particular game that a lot of people whose reviews I've read seems to have lost them, simply because the ending, the conclusion, it's not necessarily a plot twist, or it's not a concept that we have not seen before, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, in all fairness, how many games have you played that you've seen that concept before, you've seen that theme before? It's just a variation of it in that particular developers or that particular artist's vision for it. So while I can understand why it didn't blow a lot of people away, simply I guess because they were expecting something else, but in the end, I wasn't particularly disappointed. I was disappointed in that one road not being unlockable, man. I cannot let that go. I really wish I was able to go up that road and see what was up there. So maybe that one's for the sequel. But no, I mean, I don't once look back on it and say, oh, geez, I hope or I wish I never would have spent the money on it. Nah, that's not the case at all. But I enjoyed it, and if you take the game for what it is and appreciate the time and the effort that went into it, I think you'll like it as well. But I do wish the map was a bit bigger. I really would have liked to have walked around a little bit more and see what else they could have put into this little cute little mining town by the water. But I gotta take what I can get. It takes a lot for me to bash a video game, because first off, I can't make a video game, and most of you listening cannot make a video game. And you have to understand that the shittiest of games you have played there were still people that put a lot of time and effort into them. And it probably didn't pan out. I've said it before. Nobody sets out to make a just complete garbage game. It just happens that way. And I appreciate all the effort that was put into it. A lot of people walked away from a bad game very proud of it. And we've all done some type of work or created something that we thought, especially in school, when we thought was really, really cool, and then we didn't really get the reaction that we wanted when we shared it. So, hey, I'm not one to judge. So the game starts off, and you're in a little rowboat. It's you're Edward, and you're traveling with your ward, Alice. And, this is the 1920s, right? So it's not like they took an overnighter to Norway, so they've been traveling a while. And, of course, they do the kind of like the dialogue in the beginning where, they're asking, so what are we doing again kind of deal. It's kind of like that feel. I mean, obviously these characters know what they're up to, but they're just rehashing it and going over it again for us, the players. And Edward, states that, the last time he heard from Elizabeth, his sister, she was here, she went missing, and that's why both of you are even in Norway at all. So you get a few minutes on the boat, they're chit-chatting back and forth, and then they finally come up on land, and they are, supposedly the Fretlands are the people, the family that you as Edward have been communicating with, and they've been, apparently they're going to be very helpful in trying to find your sister. So once you get up on the land, they, Alice says, where are we going now? And Edward says, I think it's the big house, up on the hill, which I guess makes sense because that's where you always want to go in a situation like this. You always want to go on the big house up on the hill that looks scary as shit. So, when there's nobody else around. So you guys go up to the house. You find that there's no one there. There's no one in the town at all. And you go in the house. There's no one there. Nobody home. And you kind of speculate at what's going on. And you peruse a little bit. And eventually you come up onto there's a closet that actually has one of those sewing mannequins. And you find like Elizabeth's scarf and things like that on it, and you start, and you're like, oh, shit, what's really going on here? So that's kind of, the intro is kind of to the point. It's not very long at all, but again, for such a short game, it is very engaging. So once Edward found that mannequin with Elizabeth's scarf, I was very much in, and I didn't stop until the end. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. There's not much to go over because this isn't a very complicated game. It's the in a game like this, the majority of the complication is really in the story. It's not in the gameplay. So the gameplay is really just you're walking and you just click to interact on different objects or Alice or whoever. So it's not going to be as involved, for example, as Days Gone, where you go through the tutorial showing you how to do the basic movements and things like that. So it's not nearly like that, but again, it's a very good game. It's a very good, and this is a great game to play if you have the day off and you got the house to yourself, basically. Just go for it, because this is a good kind of half, maybe a little more than half day kind of game to play, and you will be able to get through it in that time. So you can easily binge play this in the 5-ish, 6-ish hours that it took me. But yeah, so Draugen currently right now, I just checked on Steam, it is $20 for just the game, and about $28 for the collector's edition, which includes the soundtrack and the the art book as actually a PDF file. Now, there is one disappointing little detail about the collector's edition that didn't quite pan out. It was supposed to include a prequel comic book, and I'm all about video game comic books, especially if they are sequels or prequels to the game that I played. So from Red Thread Games Twitter on, let's see, the comic book. So it was announced that it was going to be on May 17th, 2019. It was announced that it was going to be available on May 29th. And then on May 29th, they announced that there were some production issues and the comic is no longer available. And there have been no future updates or updates of availability anytime soon. And that's obviously been a couple of years now. So I don't think it's in the stars. I am pretty disappointed because I would have loved to have read a little bit of, since the game is so short and the story is so short, it would have been nice to have a little addition to it. But, so yeah, that didn't quite pan out. It's still listed in Steam as being part of that bundle, but you won't get it, unfortunately. So yeah, I hope I convinced some of you to give it a shot. Red Thread Games impressed me with this one. I do like the Dreamfall games as well. Now they have a new game that's going to be, now it says to be released in 2021, and I am recording this. It is now, we're just into November, and it hasn't been released yet, so I'm hoping it's coming pretty soon before the end of the year. It's called Dustborn. So let me just read you the little description of the game here. It says here, lead a band of misfits and outcasts on a perilous road trip across a divided states of America in a story-driven action-adventure about hope, friendship, love, and robots, and the power of words. They had me at robots, so I'm in. I'm curious to see what Dustborn is all about. The art looks pretty good on it, so I'll be picking that up simply because I like Draugen that much. They got this sale. They just like, just take my money now. So, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, it was a bit different from the other three, and I'm not really sure what the 5th episode will cover. I do have a few ideas floating around, but I'll probably be announcing something on some kind of social media platform out there. But I really appreciate you listening to episode 4, going over Draugen by Red Thread Games. Have fun, be safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you next time.